Do you know why? Sorry, I know there are kids in the room. Is that okay? Are we okay parents-wise? I just want to make sure. Because you know, these chefs have a little bit of a foul mouth. So we might just slip a little bit on that side. So I'm going to apologize now for all my mistakes for the next 45 minutes. Okay? I'm just saying that. I'm just that's the disclaimer. So, anybody allergic to curry? No, nobody's allergic to curry. Because, you know why? Curry is not a spice. Curry is a blend of different spices. Curry is a blend of all these spices. And all these spices. Who cooks Indian food at home? Here. You do. My cookbook.
No, your dishes at home.
Thank you. Who roasts their own spices? Who grinds their own spices? You do. You do. Who else would? You do? It's way too much time on your hand. You need to spend a little bit more time drinking wine rather than grinding your own spices. Unless you're drinking wine while you're grinding your spices. Alright, so basic starting point of any Indian food is a masala. What's a masala? What's a masala? Masala is a blend of onions, ginger, cloves, cinnamon, ginger and garlic. Like that's what it is. What a mirepoix is in French cooking, that's what a masala is for Indian cooking. So classic starting point is onions, ginger and garlic. So I'm going to brown these onions nicely. You can see that. I'm going to brown them quite a bit. I'm not going to worry about being too burnt. You know why? Because I want that caramelization to come from the onions. I want that little burnt flavor that comes through, because that really makes the curry taste delicious. You know, the French are like, oh my God, you know, they're going to make the onions a little translucent. We just lightly sweat them in the butter and we'll add a little spices to it. Whereas we Indians are a little bit like in your face, like here's brown onions, enjoy them. That's what we do. So the onions are going to be nice and brown. I'm going to add the ginger and garlic to it. The key to Indian food is not the spices alone. It is the timing of when the spices go in. Every Indian woman in this house in India has her own style of cooking. My mother-in-law, she's a brilliant cook, but she cooks the hell out of everything. You never know whether you're eating a potato, an eggplant, or a chicken. Never know it. I asked my mother-in-law, like, what am I eating? She'll be like, you do not know the difference between an eggplant and a potato? I'll be like, no, not in your curry. So, she always, my mother on the other hand uses 2 or 3 different spices, but she cooks beautiful, simple food. They're both right, they both have their own style of cooking. That's why I always say, when you're cooking Indian food, don't be intimidated. Don't be like, oh my God, I added too much of this. It is the emphasis of cooking exactly. It is not meant to be exact. It's meant to be whatever you feel like doing. So today, if you're cooking something and you're like you know, you're adding your spices, you're like, my God, my boyfriend just pissed the shit out of me today. I'm going to add some extra chili to it. That's what you do. So it's a blend. It's like, this is a palette of colors. Can everybody see that? This is the palette of colors in front of you. And this is your canvas. Create your own style. Indian food is meant to be, it's like music. You pick up your guitar and you start playing the notes, or you start playing a tune, that's what it is. Indian food is meant to be just as musical and as flavorful and enjoyable. So, you see the onions are nice and brown, right? I'm still not scared. I want them to be a little bit more brown. Now, the onions, when they become brown, the French use a little bit of stock, a little bit of whipping cream to deglaze the pans. Whereas Indians love to use tomatoes. What does the tomato do? What does the tomato do? Anybody? Huh? Acidity. It deglazes the pan. It brings out all that freshness that comes out of the pan. Like, you know, that brownness that I'm talking about that is stuck to the bottom there? It deglazes that. So, again, don't go out and buy yourself these beautiful Roma tomatoes from Whole Foods and from Choices or anything else. Buy the tomatoes that are slightly ripe, or go to the food markets and buy the tomatoes that are a little bit, almost a little bruised, so that you can enjoy the flavors of it. Don't buy the most expensive Roma tomatoes out there. You're not, because you're going to cook the hell out of them in the curry anyway. Who cares how beautiful they look? Correct? You're supposed to enjoy them that way. So, you see the onions are there. I'm going to add some garlic. And then some ginger. Now, when we first opened the restaurant up, or when I first opened the restaurant up, of Vij's, my approach at that time was not to serve Indian food. My approach at that time was to talk about Indian food and the flavors. I'm a very proud Indian. I was born and brought up there. For 19 years I spent my life there. I love that country. I wanted to be the best ambassador of that country. I wanted to be the best person who was going to represent its cuisine and culture. I wanted to get away from butter chicken and chicken tikka masala and tandoori chicken. I wanted people to enjoy the nuances of Indian food and the Indian flavors. So that has been the quest and the journey that I started that time ago. And it is still the same quest and journey. So it's not like we are opening up any more restaurants because they are businesses. We are opening up more establishments that demystify Indian food, Indian spices, Indian flavors, Indian regions. So I'm going to add a little bit of cloves and cinnamon to this. Cinnamon, cloves. So why do you think I would add whole spices first and then I would add the ground spices afterwards?
Different flavor profiles.
Sorry?
Different flavors.
Different flavors, but there's a reason behind it. Come on, there are no Indians in the.
It has to break the flavor down.
Sorry?
It has to break the flavor down.
Perfect, excellent. That's what breaks the flavor down. So when you use whole spices first and you saute them up in the spices, it breaks down the flavor. The flavors come through really, really nicely. So that has been the journey of what we started 1994. And when I opened the restaurant up, it was a one-man show. I used to actually make the curry, put it on the pass, and I would turn around and come and wipe the plate down and serve it. You know, and my breakaway point at that time was $100. If I sold $100 a day, I was going to survive. And guess what? Some days I would do like $97 in sales, $98 in sales. And I would just go to the cash register and just ring in $2 of naan just to feel good that I was okay as a businessman as well. So those humble beginnings of remaining focused has been our goal of what we have done so far, right? So everybody can see this, nice and brown, right? Lots of flavors. The cloves, cinnamon are in there. Now I'm going to add some spices to it. A little bit of garam masala. Does anybody know what garam masala is? In this box here, there's the beef. No, I shouldn't be saying that. Or should I be saying that? Can I say something wrong? I can, right? I have your permission? There's in this ground mixture here, there is some beautiful BC weed. Just joking. You guys need. So ground garam masala, a little bit of ground cumin, coriander, a little bit of red chilies, turmeric. Why turmeric? Can anybody tell me why turmeric?
Color and flavor.
What's that?
Color and flavor?
Every Indian spice has some form of medicinal value to it. Does anybody know that? Did you know? Anybody knows what Ayurveda is? No? It's the art of eating healthy through your spices. You know, now yoga has become the big deal. It's like, oh my God, I'm a yogi now. I go and I get my hot yoga. Indian food is going to be the next big thing. Eating spices like this, cumin, cloves, cinnamon, ginger, they all have some form of medicinal value to them. And it's really important to recognize that fact. All right, so I'm waiting for the spices to kind of cook down a bit. Right? Any questions so far? Anybody? Come on, you have no questions? Yes, love. Salted butter, yes. Traditionally, I would use ghee. Ghee is clarified butter. Now, if you look at me, there's nothing low-fat about this guy, right? Nothing. I eat real stuff. Eat real food, guys. Don't eat low-fat cream, low-fat coconut milk. Don't. Because whenever you tamper with food like that, you're removing the medicinal value of behind it. Do not. Enjoy real food. Eat less of it, but enjoy real food. That's more important. So you see the spices now? I can smell the aromas, right? I'm going to add the tomatoes to it. A little bit of tomatoes. And I'm going to, so everybody can see the fact that, you know how the spices were getting stuck at the bottom there? Right? And now the tomatoes will deglaze the pan nicely. I'm going to add a little water to it just because the pan is a little flatter. So every time you need to cook the spices down, you add a little water to it. So don't get stressed out. If you're cooking something, you're like, oh my God, my curry is becoming a little too dry. It's only because the pot is a little bit heavier. So just add a little bit of water to it and it'll cool itself down. I'm going to go and get the chicken from the fridge. And then I would add the chicken to the curry itself. And I want the tomatoes to cook a little bit down, a little bit further down. And once they cook down, then you add the chicken. Always cook the chicken with the bone in, guys. The best way to enjoy chicken is to enjoy chicken with bone in. Like French are so smart. They take the bones out, they make a chicken stock out of it and they sell it back to you. We Indians are a little bit cheap that way, right? It's like, my God, I want the bone in, I want the whole chicken and I'm going to eat it with my hands. And that is where the flavor of the meat comes from. So don't, how much ever money you have, do not waste it on buying just a chicken breast for a curry. It's like the worst meat you'll ever find. It's white, it's boring, and it's overcooked most of the time. Have the grey meat, it's delicious. That was a little joke, pun at the white people. Just joke. Anyway, so once this part is done, I'm going to add a little bit of, I'll add the chicken to it, cook it down. Always cook your curries a day earlier. Always. You know, it's like a nice soup, a nice goulash soup. If you make a soup a day earlier and you make it like a bean soup, for example, and you make it the next day or taste it the next day, always tastes better. A potato soup, a bean soup, always tastes better the next day. And that is important. That is really, really important. So always make your curries a day before. That's what my mother used to do. She always made the curry a day before, earlier during the daytime, and then she would serve it in the evening and warm it up that way. Okay? So I can see the masala is getting cooked. Everybody can see the colors. You see how beautiful and vibrant the color is? It's quite, like, you know, robust. I'm not kidding you. From a presentation point of view, Indian food is the worst food to serve. Like from a presentation point of view. You know why? Because it's like brown, browner, and brownish. It's like, hello, how do you do it? Whereas the French have it all right, right? They have a little steak here with 2 carrots going this way, 1 asparagus going this way, 1 little zucchini on this side, and 2 dabs of, you know, little sauce at the bottom. I can tell you this much. Look at us. We dressed a little bit around. There's a French guy right there. Look how colorfully dressed he is, right back there. He's French. I know he's French. I can see he's French. I just know him, that's why I just saw him. Okay, so chicken curry right here. I'm going to add the chicken to it. Then I'm going to wait for the chicken to cook down. I'm going to add a little water to it just to give it a little flavor. Now, do you realize I have not put any salt in here? Why? Can anybody tell me why? What's that? Spice is already given, but that's a good point. Because every Indian spice has some form of natural saltiness. Cumin, cloves, cinnamon, ginger, the garam masala, they all have natural saltiness to them. If I add the salt now, my dish will become a little saltier. I need to wait for the spice to cook itself nicely with the chicken in, and then I'll add the salt to it afterwards. And that's how I've learned. Honestly, don't ask me why. This is something that I learned from my mother. There are 90% of the times in Indian cooking, It's like, Mom, why did you do this? Or why do you do this? It's like, I don't know, no, your grandmother used to do, so I did it also. I was like, but there's no reason behind it. It's like, I don't know the reason. Why are you asking me questions like this? Are you a lawyer or a chef? Why are you asking me so many questions? And I look at her, I'm like, okay, I understand that. So I like just quietly listen to her. And so these are things that I learned from her over the years of not putting salt right at the end. Why? I have no idea. But she said to me, because all these Indian spices have natural flavors to them. Anyway, so the chicken curry is going to get cooked a little bit. Once it gets cooked, I'm going to add, remember I said earlier, the French will add a little bit of cream, a little bit of red wine to deglaze their pans and to finish off the sauces. I'm going to use a little bit of sour cream, a little bit of yogurt, whatever you want. Why do you need to add those? Either sour cream, whipping cream, coconut milk, or yogurt. Why? Who cooks here? Somebody asked, I mean, I know you're a chef. Somebody's a chef right here. So I'm not going to ask the chefs. Who cooks? You cook at home? Why do you think? Creamier. But it rounds up the flavors. Cream rounds up the flavors. Go ahead. Takes down the acidity. Perfect. The cream, the yogurt takes down the acidity. I'm telling you guys, all these people now are talking about like taking acidophilus pills and all that stuff. Just eat a bowl of real yogurt every day. Greeks and Indians have been eating real yogurt for thousands of years. There's acidophilus in it. Eat those flavors and you'll be fine.
I noticed that you're letting it simmer instead of searing the chicken. Does that affect the flavor?
That's a great question. I see that you're cooking the chicken in the pot rather than searing it first and then putting it in there. Why? Anybody can answer that question? Why? That's a great question and I'll answer it in a minute. Remember earlier I said we like to cook the chicken and we want all the flavors. If I sear this chicken first, all the flavors will be in a pan and the protein will start shrinking and it will become hard and tough. What happens here is as soon as the protein is getting cooked, it's soaking up that flavor of the curry sauce around it. That's why I was saying, always cook the chicken with bone inside the sauce. Don't sear it everywhere else and bring it in. Why? Cook it in here. You're going to have the same temperature. You're going to cook the chicken through and through anyway. So that's a great observation. Really great point here. Any other questions so far while we're waiting for the chicken? No? No questions? Yes, sir. Medium. So that's a great point. When I start searing the onions, ginger and garlic. So the reason why you would do that is, because you want to add the spices at different timings. Right? The timings have to work. So normally this curry would take 2.5 hours. You would saute your onions, you would relax, you would add some of the spices, wait for it. So the heat should be usually medium, low to medium heat. That's the classic old world of things. So if you see my heat right now, because I added some water to it, improvisation is part of our lives though. It's not supposed to be exact science. I'm telling you, the day you become exact science to Indian food, that's the worst thing you can do to yourself. Don't follow the recipes. I'm not kidding you. This is a recipe that my wife made, or my mother had made. Even I'm not following her recipe. I'm like, screw this. I'm not going to bloody follow her recipe. I'm going to do what I feel like doing. Because that's how we work. That's how we chefs cook. Most chefs don't follow the recipe. You tell a chef to follow a recipe, he or she will be like, why? Just give me an idea, I'll get a little bit of a brainstorming idea and then I'll move on. That's what it's supposed to be. Okay, so I can see the chicken's almost getting cooked. I am going to add the sour cream to it and then I'll add the salt. What I wanted to know was there's only enough chicken curry for like 6 people. So if I ask you guys a question and you know the answer, you are the one who's going to come up and try the food. So my first question to you guys is, what is the difference between Northern Indian cooking and Southern Indian cooking, predominantly?
Spicy in the south.
Spicy in the south. There's something else though.
Coconut oil?
Coconut milk. Perfect. You're one of them. Perfect. So the first, North India uses more sour cream, yogurt, whipping cream style of curries. South India uses mostly coconut milk because that's the coconut milk that is abundance in. So most of Indian cooking in this world is what is available around there. You know, today people are talking about, oh my God, let's eat local, let's eat, from around our neighborhoods, 100-mile diets. Indians have been following that for thousands of years because we didn't even have the transportation to bring the bloody tomatoes from California. You know, we did. It's like you grow your tomatoes, you grow onions, you grow ginger, you grow garlic, and at the end, at 7 o'clock in the evening, everybody brings their wares and tries to sell each other. So it became a farmer's market. But farmer's market in India have been happening for thousands of years. Even in France, even in Germany. Most people, you go to place. You know why the French got to where they did? Why they were so, why are they considered like such a pioneer in the cooking? Because French was so bloody arrogant. They said, why should I drink wine from Burgundy when I live in Bordeaux? Why should I drink wine from Côte d'Or when I live in Champagne? I want to drink the wine where I grow. And they all took care of themselves, like of our own regions. They ate tomatoes from there. Then everybody was like, oh my God, yeah, that is so serious. You know, the French, I mean, the cuisine is so high. It's high because they're so proud of themselves. We as Canadians should be proud of our own cuisine where we live. We should be so proud of the country we live in. We have the ocean that produces great seafood. We have Okanagan that produces great wine. We have Fraser Valley that produces great produce. We are a culinary destination. Canada is a culinary destination. We live in the most beautiful part of the world. I mean, imagine this. You know, somebody the other day complained to me that, oh my God, my parking spot is like 4 blocks away from the restaurant. I was like, dude, do not go to India, for sure. Because you'll be 40 minutes away from the very restaurant. And you complain, I said, don't go to India. And so then he came up and he's like, there were like 10 people waiting at the back there. And he's like, it's a little busy for me. I was like, really? I said, really, please do me a favor. Do not ever go to an Indian country or a country like India because somebody's armpit is right in your face in India. You know, you can smell what they had for breakfast in the morning. So leave alone trying to talk to me that, oh my God, I don't have enough space. Like, it put things into perspective. You go to India and then you come back here, it put things into perspective. It's like, man, I am so bloody lucky where we live and so happy where we live. Anyway, so chicken curry almost done. I'm going to add the sour cream to it. So I want to know, what is the capital of India?
Mumbai.
New Delhi. So you're number 2. You get to enjoy this curry. Another question. I didn't actually practice. This just came out of my mind in that sense. Trying to figure out a question. It'll come to me in a second. Still, we've got another 5 or 10 minutes.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, you can ask me questions.
How long can we simmer without? Do we ever risk the chicken drying out, or will it stay?
How long can you simmer?
Yeah.
Well, the chicken's cooked now, approximately half an hour, 45 minutes. The key, the question is, how long can you simmer? The key to Indian food is the masala that I made first, the onions, ginger, garlic, and all the spices that go in there. That's the key. Once that is done, then you can add the chicken to it. Now, if you're doing lamb, for example, or beef in it, you're going to need far more time because you're going to need to keep stirring it up and sauteing it up. Okay? Sorry, what was the, any other questions so far? Anybody? Yes, love.
If you have a reaction in the fact that you can't handle hot food, but you don't mind flavors, can you make your curry have more flavor and less heat?
That's a great question. Can you just say, can you have spicy, like flavorful food without having the chili?
Yeah.
Indian food is never meant to be that spicy. Indian food is meant to be very flavorfully spicy. Indian food should be that when you taste it, it's like, oh, it's not that spicy. But by the time you're finished, you should have a sweat in your forehead, sweat on your back. Why? Because your palate should be fine. But the ginger, the onions, the cloves, the cinnamon, the garlic that's gone into your body is metabolizing and is producing heat from inside out. That is the key to Indian food, not the flavor. So when you go to an Indian restaurant, they say, how do you want it cooked, mild, medium, or hot? I look at them like, really? You don't go to Rob Feeney's house and say, I want a little bit more peppercorn with my peppercorn sauce. So then why the hell are you coming to my restaurant and telling me that you want it mild, medium, or hot? Just because I'm Indian? You've no right to tell me that. So it really is something that has always bothered me. And that is what I wanted to do. I've come to your house, that's the way you cooked it for me, that's the way I should enjoy it, that's the respect. You as a chef should know that the food that you've cooked is cooked out of love and passion. Correct? Alright, we're going to wait for the sauce to simmer a little bit, and then we're going to have it with a little bit of rice. What is the most important, what are the 3 Indian breads? This is one of the questions. What are the 3 Indian breads
Naan, chapati.
which are used in India? Sorry? Naan.
Roti.
Well, I can, somebody has to know all
Naan,
3
chapati,
answers.
roti.
Because I can.
Naan, roti, and chapati.
Naan, roti and chapati. Okay, I'll give you, anybody else has a better answer?
Dosa.
Huh? Raita? Paratha. No, there's a little one more answer.
papada?
Papada. How am I going to divide this? Okay, you're going to come up. You already have one, right?
Yeah.
So do you want to give it to your friend?
Yeah.
2. I got this 3. And then there was somebody who else said paratha. 4. So 3 predominant Indian breads are naan, which is made with all-purpose flour. It's like pita bread. It's got all the flavors. It rises up. There's chapati. Chapati and roti are technically the same, just different languages. Roti is whole wheat. It's kneaded with water. And papadam is chickpea flour. And there are thousands of variations of Indian food, like stuffed naan, stuffed chapati. From a point of view, if you're gluten-free, if you're lactose and all that stuff, it encompasses everything without actually being or trying to be somebody different or difficult thing. Trying to be, it has everything. Like if you are a family that's eating together, you will have a little yogurt if you want to tone it down for the kids. You will have a little chili on the side if you want to spice it up a little bit. So that's how it works. Condiments, because everybody has a different palate, right? Everybody has a different style. Alright, so the chicken's almost done here. I'm going to taste this salt. Delicious. And some cilantro right at the end. Why cilantro right at the end?
So it doesn't cook.
Doesn't what?
It doesn't cook.
Doesn't cook. Perfect. Cilantro should never be added earlier. Cilantro is not a spice that you cook with. Cilantro is a spice that you stir right at the end. It is a spice that you don't, it's like basil. You don't really cook with basil, you just break it down and you put it in there. And that's what happens with cilantro, for example. Okay, so I have enough teaspoon for everybody to enjoy. Where does the basmati rice come from? Where does the basmati rice come from? Anybody? You already are in. Anybody else? India. No, India, yeah. Okay, let's ask. There's a guy over here from India Tourism. Did you bring some paperwork with you? You should bring some of it here afterwards, sir. Incredible India represented here as a booth. Visit the booth. Guys, do me one favor. Once in your lifetime, go to India. It's a fascinating country. It's a beautiful country. You will absolutely love it. It's a great country. The people are lovely. The cuisine is different. The flavors are different. And one thing you'll come back and say, holy cow. I as an Indian, when I go there, I think like, holy cow, how does this country survive? And it does. It works totally fine. So where does the basmati rice come from? Anybody?
Punjab.
From Punjab? Very close. It comes from a small town called Dehradun, which is the foothills of the Himalayas. The basmati rice always comes from the foothills of the Himalayas. It's a small, long-grain rice. It's got a lot of aroma, lots of flavors, and it's a rice that doesn't. It imparts great flavors. It's not sticky at all. It's totally different. So I'm going to pour the rice in here. I pre-made the rice.
Do you have any tips about cooking good basmati rice?
Cooking the rice?
Yeah.
So basmati rice should always be cooked with lots of water, and you never should remove the water out of it. So you cook the water, you leave the starch and the water in it, and then you let it cook. You close the lid down and you cook it. In a cookbook, it's mentioned it's a little bit difficult to cook. Basmati rice you have to have the hand and the flavor for it. Otherwise, it's a little bit difficult. So here's some chicken curry for you guys to come up and enjoy. I've got some spoons for you. remember I said the presentation? It's like, it's brown. Brown with tomatoes, lots of flavor. So come on up, guys. 6 people that actually got a chance to come and enjoy. I just want to take this moment. Thank you so much for coming. I apologize if I was a little bit rude. I really don't care a damn if I was rude. How was the timing? You good? 15 minutes left? Oh, let's have a conversation then. Come on up. 15 more minutes left? Oh my gosh. Come on up. So, here's some spoons. If we have some more spoons, I'll take some. And just pass this.